I did watch an episode the other day. And I think we even talked about it on the last podcast. Discussing, I actually tried to figure out when this thing begins. So if there was a pause, there was. Sorry, we're running behind. I was ill prepared for the episode. Will's on his way to another event, so we won't have him this evening. But we have Derek.
Yeah, but who likes Will anyway?
I like. We Will. I went and visited Will on Saturday. Drove up, saw his projects and that. Went up with a friend, and he was very courteous. Gave a really nice tour. Not a very car person, and really broke it down and explained things. It's almost be a good field trip, I would say. I mean, he had samples of work and can't talk a lot about it because most of the stuff in his shop anymore is a secret. But he's doing a project for a friend of mine, and I don't know if we should talk about it because I don't think it'll be secret. I think it'll be the only time he wants to do a project like this. But
for a friend of yours,
yeah. So we can't wait to get the bill on it. But so, what you doing? Anything exciting or?
I'm always doing exciting stuff, John. Don't you know that about me?
Yeah.
Going to work, coming home, going to sleep, going back to work, coming home. It's exciting.
See, I skip the work part. I take after Garfield. First, you eat dessert first, so you're sure you have room. And then, of course, his mantra, eat and sleep, eat and sleep. There must be more to life. I sure hope
that's all that cats do. Eat, sleep, eat, sleep. Somewhere in there, they pee, they poop. Yeah, whatever.
Are you calling me a cat?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Do you hack up hairballs on the carpet?
I don't think so. I try not to lick myself that much.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I don't usually wear sweaters, but I guess if I did. But I do like tuna.
So. Yes, very good. And lasagna.
So I'm going to, before we get into this, is got to be careful what you say on a podcast. And it turns out we have listeners.
Wow, we do? Like more than 4? Or is it just one of those 4?
I'll be honest, we have more than 4 right now.
All right. Hey guys, how's it going? Be careful what we say.
We got people commenting. I had pointed out my pink Cadillac, which was due to this show.
Mm-hmm. Are you in the back of the pink Cadillac?
With the crushed velvet seats, rolling along, something like that. Bruce Springsteen. Yeah. Well, what got me on the pink Cadillac thing, and I can't believe the correct model year and everything was found because that's damn near impossible, was a Panther Pink 70 Charger. I can't figure out where I got to go with that.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, usually these are 68 or 69s, but it's got the proper marker lights, the proper grill. It's really tough to come by a 70, but Panther Pink's what got me onto the pink cars. And I was going through Tuscaloosa today, which I guess I should say Roll Tide because it's the game next week. And somehow I'm slowly becoming converted to Alabama after 15 years. There was a light pink Hyundai in a guy's front yard for sale, but had a lot of body damage. Might talk a little bit more about that later. And on my list of Christmas presents, and be careful of what you say, I got a little jar of sour pink Cadillacs.
What?
And these things are sour. They will make you pucker. You'll look like Bugs Bunny in the cartoons when he sucks the as an allium. I can't remember what he sucked, and maybe it was Daffy Duck, but whatever in mouth. Yeah, these are pretty And then I heard, I'm not sure if these were custom made for us or because I was told you got a lot more because you have a lot more pedals.
No, I didn't actually get more. That was a joke.
Oh, okay. I didn't get it.
Mine, I'm
But-
pretty
but,
sure mine say the same thing.
They do say clutch and gas.
Exactly. Clutch gas.
I don't know which way to go again with the camera, but clutch and gas socks. So I don't know if I think
I love
this
the
is
fact that there's just no brake. I mean, just screw it. No brake. Clutch gas. That's all you need.
I think this is well. I'm not going to say what the brake pedal one looked like, and maybe made by Trojan, but but I think this is maybe hinting or harassing me for my dual clutch car.
John, those socks didn't look that small. You're welcome, buddy.
Yeah, I think you're going too deep. So,
you know, I got 2 pair of socks just like that. I shouldn't say I got 2, but myself and my lovely wife got clutch and gas socks as well. I would have liked the pair that the left foot said high low and the right foot would have had to say brake, but I don't know what you do for reverse. It's the middle pedal. I just
again, you probably use the same one I would use for a brake pedal. You might have to just talk to the guys at Pfizer, though, because the brake pedals in your car are a lot stiffer than the brake pedals in my car.
That's what she said.
And quite possibly. I really don't know how stiff your brake pedals are, and I really don't want to know. So I brought up that pink Hyundai earlier, and it's one of these things that crossed my mind. And the topic of this show is because of the picture behind me.
Yeah, but you're also blocking the topic of the show. You
Well,
put it in a really horrible location.
It looked really good on the website, and it's just the web picture. I mean, it's the cover art for the episode and choosing our projects. And a friend of mine sent me this vehicle the other day, and I believe he knows my passion for Rampages, and I've owned Rampages in the past, and they're such damn cute, comfortable little cars.
Wait, a friend of yours sent? That's how you're going to roll? A friend of yours sent it to you?
Okay, Derek sent it to me. And I showed it.
You're the mini truck guy.
I know. You don't get much minier than this. And I had a conversation the other day, and I never put 2 and 2 together on this, and I'm not picking or harassing. I mentioned I was a big fan of mini trucks, and the person had never heard that term before. I drive a Mini Cooper, and well, it turns out I am a fan of mini trucks and the mini trucks made out of minis. So, but that's what was thought, is that it was I was passionate about mini trucks, but it's interesting to me because we live in this world, and it comes really prevalent to me when you talk about acronyms. You'd never use acronyms unless you're with your close friends or close coworkers, because acronyms mean so many different things to so many different people.
Like assume, right?
Yes, but I think most people understand what assume means. There's one that I always think of, but I don't want to go there because that really puts us out of the family friendly realm. But
yes,
it's just there's so many of them, and then I sit there, and because I actually play in so many industries, I've got to it takes me a few minutes, and I mean I'm slow to begin with, so let's quit doing acronyms. But it's like I said, it was interesting to be and have this conversation and forget that some people don't live in our world. But back to my Rampage here. I can't remember how expensive this thing was. Was it $1,400 or $1,700 or?
I sent you the. I don't. Let me look it up because I sent it to you.
Oh, I
You'd
forgot
think
to
you would have
break.
pulled that all up, but whatever.
And if you give me a second, I can. I'm gonna make you go away for a second.
You're making me go away. What?
Yeah, because I forgot to split my screen before the show.
What did I do to you?
Oh, I must have killed you.
Cool.
Well, you came back up. 1,700.
1,700. Well worth it, John. Buy it. Do it.
And it really popped into my head. That's a hell of a lot of money for this truck. 60,000 miles. Does this look like a 60,000 mile truck? Looking at the interior pictures and that, no, these were 5-digit odometer vehicles. 160, I could buy that. Doesn't run, missing the taillights and the back corners, which the back corners were impossible to find in 1983 because my dad's needed a back corner. Back in 83, it was a company vehicle that his company owned, and one of his drivers backed into something. And it was hard enough to get the parts back then. Guess I'd have to 3D print it now. By the time you restored this thing, and not to concours, but drivable, presentable, maybe that your girlfriend would be seen dead in, because she wouldn't even be seen dead in this. Mm-hmm. You're going to have 10, 15 grand into this. And I've passed up Rampages that were in much nicer shape. One that had Shelby ground effects, Shelby conversion, Shelby motor in it. Basically everything you should have in a Shelby Charger moved over to a Rampage, painted two-tone black and silver, really good looking truck, $6,800. And it was ready to go. You might have to tweak some things here and there, but it was ready to go. So when you're looking at projects, Derek, what are some of the key things for you? For me, the big one is, for me, time and cost to restored value, because while I like Rampages, I have no emotional attachment to any of them. Probably even the one that I owned and the one that my dad owned. I could care less, but I have another one would be nice, but I'm going to do the weighing of restoration to buying a restored project in say this case. What's one of the first things that you weigh when you're looking at projects?
Oh, this is such an existential question. Do you choose the project, or does the project choose you, John? That's truly anyway. I guess the way I grew up, with a father that does restorations, and we put our own labor into our cars, I guess I've never been one to factor in that, restoration cost. I mean, there's parts costs, obviously, materials costs, but the time cost is, I'm going to do it probably mostly myself. Might be a few things I don't, if I have to have some machining done that I don't have the equipment for or something like that. But so I've never, and I'm not one that tends to collect for the value of the car. I mean, I don't go out and buy a car that for too much money. Obviously, I don't spend more than a car is worth when I'm buying something. But for me, it's typically, if I see a project car and I start thinking about it, and it doesn't go out of my mind for a couple weeks, and it's still available, and there's just something nagging at me about it, that's usually how I wind up buying cars. Reasonable price, even if it's a project, and I don't forget about it. If I can't get it out of my mind, there's some reason that I'm attracted to that car and I want to buy it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can live with that. I mean, it's some of the things that desirability. I think the short way of saying that. And I did look up what you referred to there, Jimmy, is that the Mike Copeland Rampage build 392 mid-engine. I do remember seeing that from SEMA a couple of years ago. And I just recently saw, I swear it's like an Omni 024, which is basically a Rampage as a hatchback. Or the 024 became a Rampage when you put a pickup truck bed on it, one or the other. And I think it's a Hellcat powered, and it's still in the front, rear wheel drive, but they managed to squeeze the Hellcat in under the hood of the thing. Now, I don't know if you're sitting in the back seat or whatever, but for some reason, people like to take these early 80s front wheel drive Chryslers and put big motors in them.
Sounds fun, right?
But again, I guess that goes into projects. $1,700, buy this Rampage, stick a Hellcat in it.
Well, I think it really does come down to, again, what you're doing it for. Like, what are you in the hobby for? Are you in it like me, where it's just I'm passionate about cars. I love old cars. I think it's fun to just drive them around, work on them, maintain them, do all of that. Or are you somebody that's, are you an investor? Are you doing it to invest? And in that case, you're not going to be buying the cars that John and I buy because they're not worth that much when they're done. You're buying the higher end, Duesenbergs and, Pierce Arrows and Auburns and all the high end stuff and so a lot of those cars are coming down in value. So you can't even say some of those are still the thing, but I think it really goes down to part of choosing your project too, is what in the world you're in it for. Are you somebody, and it's not my taste, but it's, maybe Will's taste. Are you somebody that's, like you're saying, John, going to buy that Rampage, 1,700, okay, offer $1,500. They probably are going to take it if it's been sitting a while. And are you going to, strip it down and put a Hellcat V8 in it and put rear wheel drive and, make it a resto mod? That's what Will likes to do to cars, I've heard, is resto mod them. And
that's one of his favorite terms.
I think it's his specialty, isn't it? But, and are you going to make it some wild one-off custom vehicle that is, going to be worth more because of what you've done to it? So I guess that's another factor in how you choose your project. And are you working on it, or are you considering a project something you're going to buy and then send to a shop like Will and have it done? Is that still a project if you're not doing it?
Oh, I think it's definitely a project. It's an argument I had with a guy back in 95 when my dad was showing his Viper at an event, and somebody came up and said, man, he just bought his way into the show. For my dad to get to that point, at that point in his life, early 40s and such. And, he had worked 100 hours a week on his business, as opposed to going to work for 40 hours a week and coming home and working 30 hours a week on the car. He invested his time in making money, and then he rewarded himself in the end. So I'd never discount anybody for writing a check to get their project, because most people work their ass off to be able to write that check at some point. And if you're paying somebody like Will to do it, no big deal. I mean, if you're paying anybody to do the work, to me, it doesn't matter. It's your passion. It's putting you into the hobby. If you can't take the time off of work, or you don't have the skill set to do those things, there's, nothing wrong with hiring somebody to do it. It's just like your flat screen TV. If you can't hang it on the wall, if you don't, can't use a stud finder, you pay somebody to do it. Fortunately I'm renting, but I'm having a hot water heater issue right now, but I can do most anything when it comes to household repairs except plumbing. So I hire a plumber, and there's nothing, don't knock me for it. So yeah, I don't hold it against anybody when they go to a shop to do something, or if they go and write a check for a car and, it's done. Part of me buying a project or buying a car is I always have a list of cars in my head that I want to own, and I know what I'm willing to pay for them. And if said vehicle comes across my desk or enters my life and the numbers are right, I usually own it. That's why I go through so many cars. It's just like I bought the Mini. I knew what I wanted to pay for a Mini, and one came through my life that was that price. So it became one of my cars. When I bought my SHO, it was the same thing. Granted, these aren't project cars, but I knew what I wanted to pay for an SHO. And guess what? This one came across and it was a hell of a lot cheaper than what I went into the dealership to buy almost $25,000. So, what am I thinking here? My Lotus, take my Europa, which was a project car. The price was right. I didn't want to spend money on it, but somebody was willing to trade me something else I had. And guess it entered my life. And I owned it for a few years, sold it to somebody who actually just last year finished the restoration 14 years later. And it's an absolutely gorgeous car now. And he may have stole it from me. He got it a little bit too cheap, or I sold it a little bit too cheap, but we always feel that way. Best deal, I guess.
It's always the seller's fault.
Well,
always the seller's fault. Don't ever blame
well,
the buyer.
I guess
in the best deal.
I guess the whole thing with this pricing thing in choosing a project, I've been told, and I totally agree with it, the best deal is when both parties think they got ripped off. If the seller thinks he sold it for too little and the buyer thinks he paid too much, but the seller walks away with money and the buyer walks away with the car, that's the best deal. If somebody walks away too happy, they got the better end of the deal. If the seller's happy, he got too much money for the car. If the buyer's happy, he paid too little for the car. Extenuating circumstances. I mean, if it's something you really, 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 really want, and you can overpay for things. Used to be told by somebody I worked with, you never can pay too much. You just buy too early. BS. I don't believe that. If you pay too much, you paid too much. It's going to eventually appreciate into it, but is it going to appreciate into it because of inflation or actually desirability? And 90% of the time it's because of inflation. So I think another thing in choosing a project is, does it hurt each person just a little bit? So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like what a lot of people are saying over here. I'll go back. Lane mentioned, the whole buying to invest is a gray area, which completely agree. You're not buying what you like. You're buying what is going to hold value or increase in value. And to me, that's no fun. Why do I want to buy a car that I'm not going to enjoy just because, it's going to hold its value, or, it's going to increase in value? I mean, it's nice. You don't ever want to, I mean, you hate to lose money by buying something, but, for me, to me, that's why it's a hobby. It's not necessarily a business for me or an investment in, it's gambling. I mean, some of my cars might become more valuable. Some of them are going to decrease in value. That's just the way it is. It's a gamble, but I'm certainly not going to buy a car I hate just because in 30 years it's going to be worth $1 million. I don't want to walk out to my barn and go, oh, isn't that car nice that's sitting there? I'd probably sell it before it achieved any good value.
I put Lane's comment up on the screen for those that are watching the video version of this. And he says, invest is a gray area. Got to buy what the people want, not what you may like. Certain people can do that. I totally disagree with it. I'm going to buy what I like. Mm-hmm. Whether it be a pink Hyundai, whether it be a beat up Rampage or whatever, I'm going to buy what I like. And I'm going to enjoy it. If I make money getting out of it, I make money getting out of it. But like you said, Derek, it's a hobby. It's not a business for me. And I'm going to buy what I'm passionate about. Take real estate. The last house I sold, the realtors came through and said, no, you need to repaint this. You need to make it all, just off-white colors. I lived in a red brick house and they wanted me to paint the red brick. And absolutely not. I mean, that's like going back into a 20s era house and painting all the oak.
That's
To me.
blasphemy. Painting
Yeah.
a brick
So,
house.
I wouldn't do
What
it.
is
I'm
wrong
when
with
I live in a house, I'm going to make the house the way I want it, and when I'm ready to sell it, I'm going to sell it. To me, the buyer's going to paint it anyway.
you?
And if you're not, do I really want you to buy my house if you're going to live in a drab white house? I mean, whatever you want to think there. But, and unfortunately, I sold the house to a flipper, and they painted everything drab white, and they painted the exterior white, and they painted the outbuildings white, and the house has zero appeal to me now. Fortunately, know a guy that can come and sandblast off all the paint on the exterior and bring it back to the red brick, etc. But no, the house has no appeal to me now. I'm not a fan of painted brick. Unfortunately, if you're going with what Lane said, painted brick's what flips right now. So, sorry, brought this into a real estate show.
Yeah, really. Real estate. Let's see. What could we change the name of our show to? No painted brick houses. Welcome and good evening. This is the new episode of No Painted Brick Houses. John's going to go on a rampage about painted brick homes.
No. We just call it anything but cars.
Anything but cars. We do have those episodes some nights. But no, I mean, and I mean, I think the fact that even all of our commenters are saying pretty much the same thing, that's again, that's going back to it. It's why we call it a hobby, and we're not, I mean, in some ways, all three of us are in the business of the automotive industry one way or another, but what we do with our projects and choosing our projects are not always part of that business element that we are in. And it's truly a hobby. And, Toby, don't bring economics into this. I never was good at those classes.
Jason's commenting our real estate talk. So we're helping out people. So not, some people are interested in that. And, Ms. Hill, do not paint your brick.
Don't paint the brick. Don't do it. They have a great mid-century home too. I mean, it's beautiful architecture. Come on, Dana. But no, I mean, it is. And that's, like I said, sorry, I'm reading comments at the same time and I can't not laugh.
You mean,
but I mean, it's even
one?
like,
I like painted brick.
Exactly. Well, it's going back even to Toby, one of Toby's comments earlier, and Jason. Part of the fun of it too is in buying a project and working on it is you make that connection to the car. And especially if you're choosing a project because you already have some interest or connection in it, and then you go from there. And honestly, with me, I don't think the only car that my dad and I have ever sold is the 74 Pontiac GTO. And I recently, say within the last 3 weeks, found an old insurance card for it. So guess who has the VIN number again? And may be going on the hunt for a certain 74 GTO. I would buy it back at the right price. But, everything I've bought, there's not necessarily an emotional connection to it or a personal, like, oh, my family used to own that or blah, blah, blah. But a lot of times it comes down to just, like I said, not being able to get something out of my mind, but also in some cases, and it's been somewhat of a fluke, but it's connected to the place I've worked. So when I was at the Henry Ford Museum, I purchased the Ford Falcon that I own, connecting to that Ford Motor Company story. And I also bought my Overland at that time, my Model 90 Roadster, which was second in sales to the Ford Model T in 1917. And then when I moved to Cleveland, of course, I purchased my Peerless. And at the Corvette Museum, I stumbled on a 490, a 1919 Chevy 490 that I bought, and Chevrolet made. One of the key reasons the company survived was the 490 and competing with the Model T. And yeah, I'm on the hunt for a Corvette too. And when I find the right one, I'm going to buy it. Right price, right car. I'm going to get it.
I'm sorry, I was distracted by the lawn care question, and my advice on that is follow the people in Arizona. Gravel.
Oh, we had a
yard.
lawn care question.
Well, he didn't present it, but my advice on any lawn care is gravel your lawn, and leave it at that. If you want to, you can paint the gravel green, but
yes, I that's actually what I was just going to say was actually if you cut the grass to about an inch to an inch and a half and then get turf green spray paint, you spray paint the whole yard, you're good to go.
No. I'm surprised AstroTurf lawns never took off, because you can park your cars on them and not damage the grass and such.
That's actually an excellent point. I might try AstroTurf.
I've made money off junk too. I traded my Fusion and made money on it. I traded my Hyundai. I made money on it.
Well, actually, right now, if you've got a car that's maybe 4 to 5 years old or less, you're probably going to make money if you go to a dealership.
That reminds me. I just read an article yesterday or the day before. The average new car in the United States is $29,000 and change, or used car. Excuse me, average used car in the United States. And then I'm watching a Carvana ad later on, and they've got this 2014 or 2016 BMW 3 Series, and they're all, and the screen shows the offer at like $14,000. And I'm going, so a 4 or 5 year old car, you're going to buy off me for 14, and the average price, and that to me is going to be above average. You're going to try to sell it for 30. That's kind of going back to the way it was in Virginia. Whatever they offered you on trade, double it, and that was going to be the retail price. If you knew what you want, if you wanted to know what you're getting on trade, find the same car for sale somewhere and multiply it by 0.5. And that's what they were going to offer you on trade. Is that the game we're playing now too? So $13,000 BMW, Carvana sells it for, I don't know. I haven't looked it up, so don't sue me, Carvana. You going to sell it for 24, or are you going to sell it for, I would say 18 would be a fair price, but it's going to make me happy and probably hurt you. So it's probably a better deal for me at 18.
You know what they're going to do, John? They're going to sell it for the highest amount of money they can get out of it. That is what they're going to do.
Carvana puts a price on their website, and then you can buy it. And at some point in the future, because it seems every article I read, they don't deliver on time. Of course, that's probably the people writing. Those that complain are a lot louder than those that are happy. Mm-hmm. You buy it, you order it. They tell you they're going to bring it on Tuesday, and 3 Tuesdays later, you get it. So,
did they promise what Tuesday, or did they just say we'd bring it on Tuesday? Because if they just said they're going to bring it on Tuesday, they could bring it any Tuesday after the day you buy it.
Yeah, Jason, I really don't want to get into the Carvana troubles, especially in, I think, isn't it North Carolina, their home state, that they can't sell cars in right now? They lost their dealer license, or got their dealer license suspended in North Carolina and a couple other states. I could be wrong on the exact state. I don't have notes in front of me. I'm going off my old man memory, which may or may not be good.
It's not. We know it's not.
So now back to our projects. I'm trying to think of some of the other, I don't have rational decisions when it comes to my projects or my toy cars.
Yeah, neither do I. Now, here's the question. How many projects do you have in the barn already when you're choosing another project? What is the limit on that? I need to know, because I may be reaching it.
I think that comes down to ability on selling the spouse or significant other.
John, we outlawed selling your spouse many years ago.
And the amount of I think filling the barn to the point that you have one open stall, because then that technically gives you 2 stalls to work on the project. Now, in your case, you do have that itty bitty mini car that would fit in the trunk of mine.
Yes, yeah, that helps a lot.
So,
I can actually like park it in the trunk of the Falcon. I just kind of pick it up and.
Yeah, I mean, I get pictures of guys with CRXs and guys with minis, and every passionate mini guys has 2 minis and then an original mini, and the original minis turned sideways and pushed into the front of the garage. So it does come down to size of car and space. But if you have one extra space, that gives you, you need 2 stalls to adequately work on the car. So I think that should be your criteria. If you have indoor storage, if you have outdoor storage, the homeowners association's the limit, I think.
That's why I live in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky, and why my parents live in the middle of nowhere, Michigan. So we can park things outside without anyone complaining. So how many projects am I allowed to have outside?
I don't know. Jimmy here posts that how much room you have determines how many you have. And
I think by that he means how many buildings you have.
No, because I recently was near there, and they got a lot of stuff outside too. I think their stuff's outside.
Yeah. Yeah, and Lane, backing up, Lane has been talking about the fact that right now you can actually make money trading in and buying a new vehicle because of the situation, if you can find a dealership that has a new vehicle for you to purchase.
Yeah, I know Lane was thinking about that for a while. He talked about it on another episode. And it's like I said, kind of stupid. I got more money for my Fusion than what I paid for it. And the reason I bought the Fusion at the time is the new car was cheaper than the used car. I looked at a 17 and a 19, and I bought the 19 because it was cheaper than the 17. And then I ended up selling it to get the Mini, and I made money on it for some stupid reason. And still the Mini, when I got home, and we talked Carvana earlier, but their offer on the car 5 hours after I bought the car was more than I paid for the car, taxes included. So I felt pretty good.
Toby, to answer your question, it doesn't have to be a truck. It just has to be a vehicle. It could be a truck, a car, a tractor, a lawnmower, pretty much anything. Just have something in your yard. I mean, I had to put a rusty 1923 Chevy chassis in my backyard just to feel like I fit in. So,
well, I don't know if it's a truck or a Kentucky law, but I think every car guy is required to have a Camaro on his yard and blocks.
Yes.
But see, Erin being my ex-wife, we were the exception. Her friends would occasionally refer to us as Euro white trash because we didn't have the Camaro or the pickup truck on blocks in the yard. We had a Lotus and a Saab and another Lotus and things like that on blocks in the yard. 9 cars in the driveway, 2 of them run. And at that point, I would have to get around to making the rest of them run, or at least making the runners outnumber the non-runners. But so I think all car guys are required to have a couple of cars that don't run kicking around. I've got one even, I've got my 62 Chrysler, which if anybody wants a 62 Chrysler project car, preferably to make into a street rod, no driving gloves at gmail.com. We'll be glad.
Why would they make it into a hot rod? Why would they resto mod it? Why wouldn't you keep it original?
It is a 17,000 mile car. Honest 17,000 mile car, one family car. But I just think numbers, you could buy a Newport restored and running for way less than you could, restore this one. So going street rod is what makes sense. Will and I have talked about it, put an air ride on it, put in a modern, motor in it, but then you got to get into the rust repairs and the paint and,
What engine does it have in it currently?
312, I believe.
So wait, how bad is the rust?
Um,
Are we talking floor pans, trunk pan,
well,
rocker issues? What are we
I
talking?
can tell you, I haven't looked. I'll be honest, I don't think I've touched it in 5 years. 5 years ago, it was just a little bit of surface rust around the headlights and that. It is an Illinois car, so I would suspect by this time it may need floors. But
Okay.
that's the drawback. If you know somebody, I will go look and find out if my foot goes through the floor. I've got to be out that way. It's actually in the next couple of days because I need to pay them for the space, or otherwise, I guess they get the car. We'll see it on Storage Wars.
There you go.
Where you can pick up a car.
If the rust isn't that bad, don't do anything to it. Put a modern engine driveline in it, spruce it up a little bit, leave it kind of sleeper-ish, a little beater old car, and then all of a sudden you go out and whoop the snot out of people.
Yeah, there was a New Yorker set up like that. I met Will, I can't remember, middle of Ohio a few years back, went to a show he was at, and then there was a New Yorker there set up like that. I'm going, yeah, I could really, I could see doing that to the car. But again, I'm in an apartment now, so I pretty much have to send it to a shop, or I've got to go rent me a shop, which, like an idiot, I did have a shop all secure a couple of months ago, but I wasn't in a position to rent it. But
I'll rent you a space. I got shop space.
Now I've talked to you about that. I just want to store it.
We never finished the discussion.
So I'll be happy to talk to you about that. If I can get it properly stored, then doing.
Okay, let's talk after the show. All right.
Okay.
Don't mind us. We're just doing business, folks.
Yeah.
Remember, this is about our hobby, not business. I mean, it's so, and I apologize if people are watching me. I know we all tend to kind of grab our phones every now and then and look something up or do something, but foolish Derek. And the reason I asked how many projects you can have is that I'm yet again looking at more projects. It's not a Corvette, it's earlier stuff, but here I am again talking on a show about choosing your projects, and at the same time receiving text messages about projects that are possible opportunities for me to purchase. So,
and you wonder why he was talking about Duesenbergs and Auburns earlier in the show.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. You never know.
I know some of your friends.
It's that $1 million of just loose change I got sitting on the desk. I got to do something with it.
Well, what you're trying to do is take care of the children and eventually having that barn find that Tom Cotter's grandchildren will stumble across. Did you see was it a Talbot that was recently found in some guy's garage, literally buried under stuff? And the estimates, it needs restored. It's completely disassembled, but they're finding all the parts in the storage building. And they're thinking it's potentially $1 million car. I'm assuming that's as a restored car, but
yeah, I mean, it's a Talbot, so
38 Talbot, one of 35 ever built or something like that. It was on Tom Cotter's Facebook page, but I'm not sure if Tom was involved in the barn find or not, but
I wonder what body it is. That'd be interesting. I'm gonna have to look it up. Go digging around on Tom's little Facebook page. Yeah. I mean, the luckiest I've ever got with a barn find, I always said as a kid, Dad and I always talked about, the barn find and what it would be. And I guess technically our first one that was really buried in a barn was the 65 Mustang convertible we've got, which, man, it's a 65 Mustang convertible. It's got the 200 inline six. It's not a super, super, high-end Mustang by any chance, or by any stretch of the imagination, but probably the most fortunate and lucky barn find I've had in my life so far. I say so far because there will be more. is the 23 Peerless. I mean, that is a car that I really shouldn't own. I got very lucky with connections and friends and things like that that I was able to acquire the Peerless. And when it's done, that is a car that I got at an extremely reasonable price. That when the restoration is finished, it is going to be a very valuable car. They're rare, they're sought after. However, let's look at it. I mean, I was reading some articles today, even people were talking about some cars that have recently sold at auction, some Marmons and big, Pierce Arrows that just aren't bringing the money they used to, and it's because they're as we've already said, even Lane, they're not the cars of interest anymore. They're not the cars people are going out after. Yeah, are they, these big full classics that used to be worth 150 grand? Yeah. Now, what kid my age or younger is out there looking for, a 23 Peerless or a 23 Marmon or anything like that? There's not a lot. There are the oddball few of us that are out there looking, that are trying to buy them. And most of the kids my age, younger, we don't have the 150,000 or plus laying around to buy cars like that. So when they go up for sale for 90, 100,000, they're going to sit on the market. They're not going to get bought.
Well, exactly what you're saying is in the comments. And I'm going to be honest, unless I quickly type, I'm not going to even know what it is. But Phil's saying his next project is a 71 R100. I'm assuming that's some sort of Mazda, Phil, knowing you. Phil's been a guest on the show. I can't remember what episode, but
we got to get Phil back on, talk about Rotary again.
Yeah. If you go to the website, nodrivinggloves.com, you could type Phil Sohn in, and you can find his episode. We talked a little bit about rotaries. We talked a little bit about V8s. I really wish we could have recorded and broadcast the after show conversations, but we couldn't. But there he answered it. First rotary that came to the USA.
That was the R100. I thought I guess in my head, I thought the Cosmo was.
Well, he says 71 R100, but the Cosmo was 60s, if I'm right. But
well, we'll let Phil answer, because I'm sure he's already typing.
Yeah, I guarantee you, Phil knows the answer better than us.
And it would be interesting. I'm spinning this. Oh, Cosmo was the Cosmos that are here were imported later. That must be what happened. Okay. I guess I thought some Cosmos came early on, but I don't know my Mazda history. I will say that.
Well, they might have come early on and somebody just brought them over, which, speak of the devil, did you see the
devil?
I just read it in the Rob report. They may have located the official James Bond Aston Martin DB5 that was stolen 25 years ago.
I saw that. Whatever. Whoop-de-doo.
So, I always thought that'd be a cool job, to go around the world and try to find those stolen, historical artifacts like that.
I always thought that'd be fun too. I thought that'd be a great job.
I guess I don't know if the job was fun. I just want to know how the hell you do it. So
you got to be in the world, and in that world of stuff, and basically
but the first time you bust a guy, aren't you done?
You're not the one that busts them, though. You do you're the detective, and you turn it all over to another group. You've got to be kind of a lot of those people are really truly what it comes down to, are legal con artists. They go in, they play a role, they con people into revealing the information that they have the stolen item, and they turn that all over to people like the FBI or Interpol, if it's an international situation. And those organizations go in and actually do the raid, and they keep their detective or their informant person out of the scene.
Well, Toby's talking, and Toby's description is exactly what a barn find should be. Kids didn't know what they had. Nobody knew the car was there. I guess probably somebody passed away and started going through a garage and said, "Hey, here's a car." and turns out to be, fairly rare Aston Healy. So reasons I wanted the.
No, you got Lane has Model A stuff. Okay, Lane, I didn't know you were a Model A guy. Okay. I'm gonna keep that in the back of my mind. You're the one hoarding it all. No, actually, I was thinking about it. And when Phil started commenting about the R100, and just rotaries in general, is I've seen a lot of articles, and forgive me, Phil, I've not read them in depth yet. I've got them all saved on my phone, but I've seen a lot of articles talking about the possibility of rotary engines being used with hydrogen power, and that could be interesting. I think that could be an interesting topic to talk about, and might be an interesting choose your project. Is can you convert a older rotary to hydrogen and do some kind of cool hydrogen powered early rotary engine car? Might be kind of fun.
I'm sorry, I was reading Phil's emotional attachment to the R100.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't think he mentioned that in the first time he was on the show, that his uncle was vice president of Kia. That's pretty cool.
Well, I'm going, he says R100, and the first thing I saw before I read the whole comment, R100, we're talking motorcycles, and then he's talking about a Kia Busa. So we're just reusing these names as motorcycles now. And well, he's saying Kia bought several Mazda chassis. I don't knock Kia anymore. I still say is Kia and Hyundai are where Honda was in the late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're a very, very good car right now. Not a lot of complexity to it. I think, some of the newer Hondas are just, there's too much to them that, I guess it's the old saying my boss had, they over-tech them, and somebody was talking about that. I can't remember they were talking about computer software, and that you get the software just about right, and then you keep adding stuff, which further complicates it, where if you would leave it where it's just about right, it would probably still be in demand, and you don't necessarily need to add that, especially to the base software. But now we're talking computers. So, but computers have something to do with cars, I hear, because there's something about microchips in that.
That's why old cars that are projects are cool, because they don't have microchips or computers or.
No, there's Phil's answer to you. Early 2000 Mazda.
I just saw that.
Hydro-powered rotaries.
I think we need to play around with that. Mm-hmm.
But we're probably rolling up on about 60 minutes of showtime here. Actually,
we're getting close. 50. You're cutting us 7 minutes short, John.
Well, I find if I cut us,
these people are here to listen to us talk.
Yeah, but if I cut us at 56, we always go to like 120. So I figure if I cut us at 53, maybe we'll be down to 110.
All right, people, let's wrap it up. Come on, let's wrap it up. We don't, the person behind the camera is not going like this. Stretch. We could go to our commercial break if we had sponsors.
Manscaped.
You're still working that angle hard, huh? trying to get that as a sponsor.
And I'll take anybody. Yeah. Blue Chew.
One of these days, before when we break like 15 listeners, we might get a sponsor.
Casper mattresses, Harry's. Hey, I'm just throwing them out there. Any of you guys want to send me a check? I've pre-plugged you. Harry's disposable. Well, I guess Harry's razors with the inexpensive disposable razors. Look at what it does to me. Look at that clean shave. Look at Derek. Look at how smooth our chins are.
Yeah, this is Bic, by the way. This is Bic, all Bic.
And Bic doesn't do podcasts.
Oh, it's actually Bic and Barbasol. Believe it or not, I use Barbasol. Can you believe that?
And if I was good, I would be able to quickly pop off a poem for you.
That was Burma Shave.
Oh, same thing. Maybe.
Automotive history, though, Burma Shave, extremely important in early automotive culture, where the road signs.
Yeah, and I remember traveling, and there were you still see a few that are like that. I don't think they're Burma Shaves anymore. I doubt Burma Shave doesn't. Now all of a sudden, I'm thinking Brute 33. Boy, we're sure digressing.
I don't know that Burma Shave still exists. I'd have to look that up, but they don't do if they do exist, they don't do those signs anymore. But people put out recreations of the Burma Shave signs. They do, reproduction, kind of like people redo the barn billboards. The hand painted barn billboards.
You gonna do that to your barn?
I was tempted, but I go back and forth. It's kind of like antique cars with me. I go back and forth on if it's appropriate to do it, because there's actually, believe this or not, there's actually a registry of the barn signs, the hand-painted barn signs that are originals, because there are so many people that have put, basically recreations of them on their barns. They've actually tracked down as many of the original ones that have been kept up and, maintained, or even ones that are on barns that are starting to, become dilapidated. But there's actually a registry for them, so you can go see the originals.
Well, Lane's presenting us offers for his Harry's razor kit.
Nice.
And he's right. Will probably has the best use for it.
Probably.
See, almost pushed us right up to 60. Now we're at 56.
Look at that. Now we're at 56.
And we talked about it. We got some sponsor plugs in.
Actually non-sponsor plugs. Yeah.
Well, we don't have to tell them that. That's one of the podcast strategies. You just quickly do an ad for somebody and act like they're a sponsor, because then it makes other people want to sponsor the podcast.
Hang on. Craftsman tape measures.
Well, I just got a text.
They really measure up.
Foos Hot Rods would like to sponsor the show. They say they got a really pretty brown. We can say
what?
that.
Wait, did you say Chip Foose was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can get him. I mean, he's not been on TV anymore, so he might need a little bit of work.
Yeah, he might. Yeah, I hear he built one heck of a car called the Imposter.
Yeah, I
heard it won a big award, beat out some other shop.
Yeah,
I love when Will's not here,
yeah.
But it's even funner when he is here.
So, and you wonder why he doesn't listen to the podcasts that he's not on, or the podcasts he's on. So, I don't know where to go from there. NoDrivingGloves.com. We can do that plug. I mean, everything's there. All the shows are there. We got a whole new thought process and things in store for 2022. We might have some solo shows, because I kind of have a goal not to miss a week. We're going to fill in with some interview shows. Might have some on the live stream. We might just have some that appear only audio, but you'll be kept abreast.
I'm not going to touch that one. And I'll promise to Jason and anyone else that's waiting in anticipation that I will, once it warms up again, because I don't have a furnace in the barn yet. That's one of the next purchases. I will begin podcasting from the barn and have the background not be my living room and Christmas tree, but rather have it be all of the projects I have in the barn.
Jason's encouraging us to keep it rolling, and I thought he was going to say he has 2 weeks set aside for the No Driving Gloves road trip this year. I really would like to put something together like that.
Actually, I think we need to move what Toby just said to the website, right across the top as a banner, and get that done. Actually, Toby, doesn't the New England Auto Auction want to be a sponsor of No Driving Gloves? Get that, promotion out there. Sorry, I had to clear my throat.
What is this thing Toby wrote? And I'm going to try to read this without my glasses. If it's more no driving gloves that you want and crave, don't complain, rant or rave. Just find them from a sponsor for them to save. Burma Shave.
Oh, Lord.
So, yeah, we might have to add that to the website. We're going to steal that, Toby. We'll give you credit. But I kind of like that. Two guys sitting around having a beer, chatting cars. I really like having the live commentary out there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's saying he gave us permission. All right, I like it.
Oh, I thought the thumbs up was because the New England Auto Auction was going to sponsor us.
Oh, could be. or do we need to talk about happy days? Sunday, Monday, happy days, Tuesday. That's been an hour. We probably should go.
Why did Happy Days come into this?
Because a thumbs up from Fonzie. Let's pay attention.
When we hit 15 views, we can talk. Wow, Toby, thanks for bringing us down. Thanks.
Is that during the live show, or is that during, because we've had that many in a live show and we get a couple hundred over the course of a week or two. So
yeah, if you want the numbers, we can share them
privately.
Yes, privately. They're embarrassing.
So, actually, they're pretty good when it really comes down to it. I mean, I've got the specs. Yeah, we're in the top 200 podcasts in Ireland right now.
Yes.
Yeah. The home of the DeLorean.
My peeps in Ireland. That's what I like.
So, but I'm gonna get out of here.
Me too. I
say I can leave you on if you just want to keep chatting, Derek. But I'm gonna get out of here.
No, I gotta go. I got things. Projects. Got to do projects.
He's right. Fonzie's two thumbs. If I had some music here, if I had my iPod plugged in or whatever, I do have my iPod plugged in, but it doesn't work. I could play some music. But everybody's saying later they want us out of here. I'm getting out of here.
Okay,
I will talk to everybody next week. We'll see who's joining me later.